And now to Kebbi State, where only 11 out of 24 schoolgirls abducted from their school in Maga on November 17 have been safely reunited with their families, although all the kidnapped girls are out of activity. The girls arrived in the town late on Wednesday night, bringing much needed relief to their loved ones and the wider community. Their abduction on November 17 had sparked intense concerns and prompted a coordinated rescue effort across the state. And now to discuss the rising insecurity issue in the country, we are joined by three security consultants and strategists, Steve Okwori, Dickson, Osajie, and Jigai, Takani. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Well, I guess we're yet to have Dickson join the loop, but then let me start with Steve. Now, the big question from the recent kidnap and rescue cases is why no kidnappers were arrested. So what does this pattern reveal about the security situation and strategy in the country, Steve?
Yeah, you know, we are in a very, very terrible situation as we are talking. It's terrible how we have found ourselves in this kind of quagmire. You see, when it has to do with kidnapping, and when we hear of captives regaining freedom, it has to do with the three ways that you can regain freedom. One is termed rescue, the other one is release, then the other one is escape. When it has to do with rescue now, it means there's some kind of show of force. What that means is that there was force, intelligence, and coordination amongst security agents to see how to get to the location of the bandits and to be able to find out the situation of the captives, you know. And in doing that, there might possibly be collateral damage, right? Either the operatives or the hostages are in high risk because you are entering the territory of the kidnappers when it has to do with rescue, right? Because some security agents are seen to be experts in the various units or departments when it has to do with kidnapping and anti-kidnapping, right? When it has to do with release, it means that the kidnappers voluntarily free the captives to go. It means that something like negotiation, ransom payment, or some demand that has been put forward to the government or families of the victims and all that, if those demands are met, they are now asked to go. That means they have released them. There was nothing like force, the use of force in that regard. Then when it has to do with escape, of course, you hear that the Kebbi girls, one of them escaped, and the Niger children, about 51 escaped. It means that they were not rescued, they were not released. They found their way and they had to capitalize on that and they escaped. Now, what we are seeing are the victims for the Kebbi girls, the Kwara 38 worshippers. Were they rescued? If they were rescued, what happened? Was there a confrontation between our security operatives and the kidnappers or the bandits? That we don't know. Were they released? If they were released, what happened? Was there any form of negotiation? Was ransom paid on their behalf? That the government did not tell us. But I heard where the IGP was appreciating the president, the governor of Kwara State was also appreciating the president for the role he personally played in seeing that the 38 worshippers regained their freedom. Unfortunately, I did my PhD thesis on kidnapping for ransom. It afforded me the opportunity to interact with kidnappers as well as victims. So 2 years ago, I said that kidnapping, especially for ransom, has come to stay, and that is what we're experiencing now. In the last 1 year or so, over 2.56 billion naira was paid as ransom by Nigerians. You are in this country when an agency of government, in the National Bureau of Statistics, sometimes early this year, came up with the statistics that 2.23 trillion naira was paid by Nigerians as ransom to kidnappers.
Yeah, we understand, and it's quite sad that we are at the crossroad or at the point where we say that kidnapping has come to stay. But then let me ask Jigai what you think. Now, Nigeria still relies heavily on dialogue and community engagement in dealing with terrorism, kidnappings, insurgency, and all the likes. Is the non-kinetic approach still effective, or has it run its course?
Thank you. Sincerely speaking, when Mr. Steve said kidnapping has come to stay for ransom payment, well, I tend to agree with him for the point and the fact that no kidnapper has been executed publicly because of kidnapping for ransom. But in any way, kidnapping has become so rampant because the security personnel fail to do their work. If they truly do their work, sincerely speaking, there is no way kidnapping will continue. Imagine somebody stealing a phone. The security agency are able to track him and get the phone and get the person arrested. But these kidnappers and bandits will abduct people, and yet they will use phone to call. And yet we will be hearing stories, they have been trailed, this and that. No any rescue or official, because all, just as Steve said, all the rescue, the government will say, okay, these people are the rescue. They have never told us the procedure, the process they followed in rescuing this. What is our security doing? So for effective security tackling, the security have to come up, the security personnel have to come up, stand with on their feet, and make sure that those perpetrators are arrested, publicly executed, or publicly convicted, and whichever way. So by doing these things, I think the issue of security, more especially kidnapping, banditry, and insurgency will reduce.
Okay.
That is my stand on that.
All right. I understand Dickson has joined this conversation. So let's pick it from the point where you guys said, what is our security personnel doing? Now, these groups openly release videos showing their terrain and movements. With such visibility, why is it still difficult to launch some sort of operation to have them apprehended and, arrested and tried?
I've made mention of this on various fora, that crime and punishment works hand in hand. And one of the major reasons why crime has been flourishing in Nigeria is the absence of punishment. And when you have an effective punishment measures in place, crime depreciates. But here in my country, crime and punishment does not work hand in hand. You have people who commit crime, terrorists being forgiven, pardon on the name of these guys of repentant terrorists. We have Evans, the billionaire kidnapper, one of the major kidnap kingpin that went viral some few years ago, and a lot of people were calling him Evans, the billionaire kidnappers. And from that period of time, a lot of Nigerians see that this kidnapping is a very lucrative business, and they started going into kidnapping. But what has gone wrong? What has gone wrong over the time or over the year is that there has not been an effective consequences, punishment in place, because if you have a speedy judicial system that punishes those who commit crime against the Nigerian state, crime tends to, reduce. I was watching a program sometime last year. A man who committed a crime, I think he committed a murder against his neighbor in 1983. About 38 years ago, and he was just eliminated last year by the American government after spending 38 years in prison. He was still killed. He was not pardoned. But here we have people who kill our officers and men, people who kill our soldiers, people who kill our gallant officers. You forgive them, and then you send a kind of message to the international world that it's okay to commit crime in Nigeria, and that's why we begin to have some transnational criminal gangs crossing our vulnerable borders, coming to commit crime in the government space, go back to their government space and take shelter. And that's one major problem, crime and punishment. So the judiciary needs to do a very good work and also have a speedy trial when it comes to those who commit crime against the Nigerian state. If you want to punish people who commit crime against the Nigerian state, you have to punish one and punish all. So we should also avoid selective justice as well. So that is going to also help in the area of the criminal justice system. Then in the area of security management, Nigeria is a porous state. Our national borders very, very porous, and also most of these guys, you see, you cannot track them to the bushes, even though we can. We don't have the personnel. Even if we have the personnel, we don't have the coordination. So we're lacking effective coordination between the military, the police, the Air Force, the DSS and other security agents. Everybody just, like what the outside people would say, Berin Buga, just do what you want to do. So for me, I think the time has come, and this is the time for us to have an effective synergy between all our security agencies, have an effective security management system in place, people-centric approach, technological approach, and the processes. We must have these three measures in place that makes up security management, not just looking at the personnel or looking at technology. We must integrate these three measures to ensure that we manage crime in our given environments.
All right. So, Steve, now the government insisted that no ransom was paid. It's one of the things you mentioned a while ago. From a security perspective, how credible is that claim? And what indicators help determine whether it's true that money was exchanged for the safe release of these victims?
Criminal elements, bandits, kidnappers, come ferry children or girls from their schools, take them into the forest, keep them for a period of time. At the end of the day, they will tell them to go without negotiation, without ransom payment, without any conversation between them and government. Now, one of the primary things that I know that happens when kidnappings of such happen is that they go for ransom because they prefer the ransom. That is why they use that ransom to expand their network, to sustain themselves, and to use it to lure some vulnerable Nigerians, able-bodied youths, into their fold. Don't forget that some youths are out there, they induce them monetarily and bring them to their side to continue to carry out this mayhem on our people and on the state. So it is now whether government paid ransom or not, whether they use back channel to do all that, it is not for us to come and begin to say they paid, because I cannot ascertain whether they paid or not. The fact is, I know behind the back, a lot of things happen. Either they paid ransom and they refuse to tell us, because if you pay ransom and Nigerians are aware that they pay ransom, of course, it backfires to the government. Don't forget that the last National Assembly, that's the 9th, they criminalized ransom payment. In the event where if our loved ones are kidnapped, held in captivity, and we go to pay ransom. In the event where it's established clearly that we paid ransom to get our loved ones, that we hear.
Hello, Steve. Okay, all right, let's take Jigai. Of course, we'll try and see if we can bring Steve back online. But then, Jigai, we see that these criminals have moved from the north down to the northwest and down to the middle belts and are now encroaching to the southwestern part of the country. How hard is it to track such movement? And what does this say about the security outlook in the country?
Thank you once again. Tracking them is not a difficult thing if our security personnel are up to their job, doing their job very well. You see, when they talk about this rescue, we have the kinetics and the non-kinetics approach. Now, the non-kinetic approach comes in different ways. Just as my colleague was saying that probably if they pay ransom, let us know it. No. Okay, let them explain the procedure. If the government will come out and explain the procedure, how they were able to rescue these girls without paying ransom, then they should be able to tell us that, okay, we went on non-kinetic, an agreement is that there will be no ransom, but since you release them or we attack you, and the kidnappers say, okay, take your people, leave us alive. I think that's another procedure of negotiation in a different way. Okay. But then, when you keep tracking, as I said earlier, if a phone theft can be tracked, somebody using phone and he's still going a distance, it is easily tracked. There is this recent news on social media, which I believe is true, that these Sahel leaders, they say they will not trust Nigerian leaders. It is very clear that some of our politicians' hands are there, even though one cannot come out clearly and mention name. Like what happened in one of the northwestern states recently. The kidnappers came and kidnapped people. Those people that were kidnapped, their own people now, instead of paying ransom, they went and abducted the families of the kidnappers. And now, the kidnappers, when they heard about it, instead of collecting ransom, they gave these abducted persons, kidnapped persons, 30,000 naira as transport so that their families will be released. This is a clear indication that these kidnappers, these bandits are known. Their families are known. Okay. So it's left for government, left for the security agencies to stand up and not just track them, to arrest them. They can track them. They cannot be working from northeast, north central, going to northwest, and now moving into the south zone or the southwest zone. All these things can be tracked. The tracking is very easy. Okay. It's very easy. Try these things in a very local way, and we were able to succeed. The only thing I will advise is that people should make sure that they secure their boundaries. They secure their boundaries. Let the vigilante, the youth stand up, train their youths on all these security tactics. They should be able to defend themselves. If they come at these bandits and these insurgents, they are human. They are human beings.
All right.
So we should not be afraid of them.
Yeah, Jigai, thank you very much. We're trying to wrap up on this now. So, Dickson, I'll just ask you this. With these new orders being given by the president for the recruitment of more security personnel and the renewed talks on state policing, is government finally acting on long-standing recommendations, or probably this sort of reaction to the issues is a little too late?
Well, thank you very much. I don't think it's too late, but the president should have, listened to a lot of security analysts over the time, over the years, because on so many occasions we've outlined these solutions to the presidency and the government. It seems they're not listening. But as I speak to you now, Nigeria is the most discussed country all over the world, and every TV stations all over the world are talking about Nigeria. So Nigeria is becoming a country of particular concern. So for me, I think the decision from the presidency is applaudable. I really appreciate him for this stance. And we also need to get it clear that what he has declared is a state of emergency on security, quote and unquote, not a general state of emergency which has to do with system collapse. The judiciary is still functioning, the legislation is still functioning, and the executive is still functioning. So what the president has declared is a state of emergency on security, which has to deal with, increasing your manpower, releasing more resources, taking charge of your territorial space, and also engaging the military, the police to go all out to, bring these criminal gangs to justice. So for me, it's a good one from the presidency. I think this is what we should be expecting from our leaders. And also all state governors as well should copy from the presidency and also ensure that they are the sole, they are the chief security officer of their various states. They should not go back home and relax and put all the problem on the presidency. That is to say that we are centralizing our problem. So state governors must also wake up and ensure that every security vote that has been released for the management of security measures in their states must be used and applied judiciously without diversion. Now we are in a state of we're in a negative situation. Nigeria must come back to a state of peace, and everybody must come back to the drawing board. The army, navy, police, everybody must come back.
Of course,
and take us out from this shame.
Definitely, it's going to be a concerted effort if we are going to put an end to terrorism and criminalities in Nigeria. Thank you so much, Dickson, Osajie, Steve Okwori, and Jigai Takani for sharing your thoughts with us on the news.